Hi, Bill Bronchick here, and in this quick video, I'd like to give you a few tips on how to negotiate a subject to deal. Now, what do I mean by subject to? Buying a property from a seller without assuming the loan, without paying it off, just taking ownership with the existing loan in place. Now, once the seller does that, they've given you ownership. They can't get it back unless you set up some mechanism like a deed of trust or mortgage against the property that would allow them to foreclose and get it back if you don't make their payments. But otherwise, they're kind of out of luck. So sometimes people do object to that. And what I recommend you do, first of all, is keep the language, terminology, and explanations as simple as possible. Don't start saying, well, we're going to take the property subject to your existing mortgage. It has an acceleration clause, or also known as a due on sale, but don't worry, the lender won't call that, and I'll put it in a land trust. And the seller goes, whoa, too much information, confusing. A confused mind says no. So keep it simple, like, hey, why don't I just take ownership of your property and I'll pay your mortgage? Now, later on, we're going to explain in further detail and have disclosures in writing about the risks and all that. But when you're negotiating, keep it simple. Don't go crazy on the explanations. Otherwise, you will just confuse them out of a deal. Second thing is, if someone asks you a tough question, like, well, how do I know you're going to make my mortgage payment? Okay, that's a valid objection. First of all, don't say stupid things like, you don't have to worry about that. Because what you're doing is you're invalidating their objection. You're making them feel like their objection is not a reasonable one and doesn't have any merit. So you're insulting them in essence. So if someone brings up an objection like that, what you do is first is validate it. Say, that's a great question, Mr. Seller. I'm glad you brought it up. That's very astute of you to bring that up. So now you're stroking their ego a little bit and not making them feel like, they're not important or their objection isn't important. And the second thing is, if it's a tough question that doesn't really have a good answer, and there's really no good answer to that one, how do I know you're going to make my payments? Well, you could trust me. Sorry, that doesn't work. Even if you had 20 testimonials of people that you could present, they're still not going to trust you because they don't know you. So the easiest answer to a tough question is to look them straight in the eyes. And if they ask, how do I know you're going to make my payment? You look right at them and say, you don't. And just don't blink. And eventually they'll blink first and go, okay. That's an honest answer, and that's the best way to answer a tough question. I hope you've enjoyed these subject to tips, and I'll see you in Puerto Vallarta the weekend of September 20th through 22nd at my Subject to Summit. Look for the link in the description of this video.